problem is why am I setting myself up for this? Because now what's going to happen is you're going to be the person. I'm going to take the bet. I'm going to say, fine, I'll take one for the bank account. And, here it comes. Cheeks go like this. And I'm going to get right like that. This is going to be the scene. It's going to go. And right as I'm ready to touch, it's going to go. Another week, another Scott and Allie Not For Air podcast. I'm feeling good about it.
Did you want to show us your abs again?
No, I sure did. I do want to show you that.
I fell asleep actually last night watching our podcast. What does that say about our podcast?
Oh, well, you wouldn't fall asleep during this one.
Oh, yeah? Why?
Wait, you fell asleep during our podcast or watching a different one, you said?
What? No, watching ours. But it was late.
Oh.
It was super late.
Should have lied and said that it was somebody else's.
No, I fall asleep during everything, though. So I fall asleep. Oh, I'll tell you what, I started to rewatch. I love this show so much. Did you ever watch Arrested Development?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Love that show. Man, Jason Bateman and Will Arnett were so young at the beginning. Michael Cera, super young at the beginning of that.
Jason Bateman doesn't age much, though. He's reached a point he's kind of where he is.
I mean, I feel that same way about myself.
Oh, yes. By the way, little disclaimer for this podcast. Either one of us at any given moment could fall into a hacking fit. I've been getting over a summer cold that was given to me by my daughter. But neither one of us have felt like drained out, but we get these weird hacking fits where it's happened to both of us. So if it happens, just a little fair warning.
It's in my chest. Now, this is not an endorsement at all.
Are you wearing a Hugh Hefner robe? Hold on a second. What are you wearing?
No, this is, oh my gosh, I'm wearing my friend Ainsley's dead grandmother's shawl. So
that's got to have something connected to it.
Right? I like to call this is like my Stevie Nicks shawl.
Yeah.
Rhiannon rings like a bell through the night. Wouldn't you love to love it?
The head move, too. Yet another reason to watch it on YouTube and Spotify to see it all.
One of the reasons why I wore this today, very specifically, is because I am shooting something for Dunkin' today because now this comes out after the release of Pumpkin, but Pumpkin Spice got released just the other day. And so I wanted to shoot something for Dunkin' and I wanted to have that like fall vibe to it.
That ain't going to do anything for you in fall. That thing's total sheer.
No, I know, but it's like very Halloween-y.
Okay. All right.
So, and I wore all black today. Like I do, always, every day.
Any day that ends in Y.
Yeah. So that's why, but I specifically chose this because I have a shoot after this.
Okay. All right.
Yes. But anyway, so back to my non-endorsement endorsement.
Yes.
So if you ever get sick, these Thieves cough drops are the best cough drops I've ever had.
Can we please come up with the slogan?
Yeah.
Thieves cough drops. Rob the cough from you.
Ooh. Thieves cough drops, stealing phlegm from your lungs. That was terrible. That was really terrible. Okay. First things first. You go first. I'll go second.
All right. I got one heavy thing, and I don't want to drag it down, but I want your opinion on something.
Okay.
Because this is the second time this week we have watched something. So there was the story that had come out about the house in Pennsylvania. Was it outside of Philadelphia that exploded?
Oh, my God, yes. And we saw so 5 people died, but 2 people were walking I think they were probably just walking. I don't know if they're walking a dog or just walking because it was nice out. And you could see the one person fly through the air.
This is very much related to what I'm going to say.
Okay.
I just watched a video that was a story that we had too, where some furries beat up a guy with a megaphone on a beach in California. Now, I didn't know this until I actually clicked on the X, former Twitter, still Twitter X, whatever, until I clicked on it. And the headline was great. It actually reads like this. It goes, furries beat up alleged Nazi and pedophile with megaphone. Then Paw Patrol got called. Now the headline I'll give is very funny.
Wait, I didn't know that they were, it was a chomo.
You got to go with alleged because I didn't have that in the story that we had on the show, and I just read it there.
Okay.
So from the explosion,
is it alleged if you're on a sex offender list?
But we don't know.
Okay.
I mean, that's
tell me.
Nobody's confirmed. I mean, who knows? Whoever posted this put it up there. Uh-huh. So here's the thing that I'm getting at with this. We watched the video, and yes, it was I mean, it was an unbelievable explosion, right? I mean, it was really just, you looked at it, you're like, oh my gosh. In fact, our reactions were just like that. And you did see what appeared to be someone flying through the air. Then I just watched the video of this fight, and let me tell you, it was no editing, full on aggressive. You can see this furry guy slamming this guy with a phone, with the megaphone, and then obviously everybody kind of freaks out. Now, excuse me. My question is this. I watched it and I'm like, are we now past the point where we're editing anything truly traumatic out of stuff? These are 2 videos in a week. A human being, we think, flying through the air. We were watching the death of someone, and we were watching I was watching the beating of someone else, and I'm thinking to myself, if they used to kind of edit this stuff out, like you wouldn't see the whole situation. And I guess my question, this is where I have to go to you. Do you really want to see all of it, or was there something, I only know how to use the term more innocent, in a time where you knew and you'd say, well, I wish I could have seen that, but do you really want to see it? Like, I don't know how I felt watching this video with this beating.
I do. And when I was in college, we had, in one of our broadcasting classes, we had talked about ethics. And how one of the,
maybe that's why I had a hard time coming up with the word.
I'll never forget the example that was brought to our attention. It was, back when newspapers were really a prominent source of media. Now, when I was in college, that wasn't the prominent source of media, but they were talking about this one case that went to court because somebody had died and they had, let's say it was a car accident. That part I don't remember. And so there was a photograph of the dead right there, then and there, and they were trying to report on it. And so it came up like, do we need to cross that boundary? Do we need to always...
I think I remember this story.
Do we always need to be reporting that first and showing that? So at the time, in this college course, I remember people saying, no, because that is somebody's mom or dad or sister. So let's not show that.
Right.
But now, I have said this to Scott many times and even said it off the air, especially, I want to see that stuff. There's something that it's like, it needs to complete the circle for me. And Scott has always responded with, well, I was a volunteer firefighter. You really don't want to see it. And I was like, but I do. Like, I think my stomach can handle it. Seeing the dead doesn't really bother me.
Well, watching someone die, though, in that moment, and it's a violent death, the explosion... Again, we're assuming it was a body. It sure looked like it was a body, and it was beyond anything you would see in Hollywood. That's how unbelievable it was, and maybe some of you have seen the video. But
and I think that's exactly why we want to see it. Hollywood has already shown it to us. We are pretty immune to it, and so if we don't get to see it, then it's like pics or it didn't happen, vids or it didn't happen, right? So I think that I still want to see that.
Here, I'm going to take you back to something. 9/11. There were the graphic scenes of people falling from the World Trade Centers, you know, and that was a scene that was shown. And if you watch documentaries about it, you will see those scenes again.
Like the one, the guy flying out of the, like he jumps out of off the building.
Oh yeah. There were multiple people that were, they showed, coming out of the windows, and I don't know why that felt super tragic and sad to me, but you kind of were like, well, it was that or you burned to death, or the building collapsed, so it was almost a different, like, ooh, that's just such a tragedy. There was something about that explosion of the house. It was so instant, and seeing it, that was the most, the explosion was unreal. Watching what we thought was the body was like, oh my gosh, they didn't even black that out.
And I'm just going back to, this is why I paused a second ago. I'm going back to, it's somebody's mom, sister, brother, dad.
Yeah.
And I paused because I was thinking, if it was my mom or dad or brother or whoever.
Would you want the world to see that?
Right. And so I had to think about that for a second. And my answer is still, I'm okay with it. But, and I've mentioned this on the show before, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast too, is I look at death very differently. This is just our temporary body. So I really am absolutely fine if you see the death of my significant other or my mom or my dad. Because for me, it's like, oh, this is just basically like the Pepsi bottle the Pepsi is the goods, you know. So like what's inside is what I'm saying.
Okay, I understand.
So that's why I really am absolutely okay if you saw that.
Well, maybe for me it was because it was 2 videos in a week that all in the same week. Is that Band-Aid being ripped off so quickly? This is going to become the new norm where, you know, sometimes you'd get things that would be a slow roll in. The beating of this guy on the beach. And listen, if it turned out that, and we don't know all the details of this furry fight with this potential Nazi and pedophile. We don't know if all the facts. And I don't want to just be the guy to sit there and go, well, if he was a Nazi and a pedophile, then he deserved a beating and all this stuff. I just don't know. We don't know those facts 100% yet. It was intense. I mean, you saw the megaphone knock this guy clean out. And then obviously everybody else started freaking out and jumping in. And it was just one of those things where you would see years ago, they would kind of blur things out or you'd hear certain things. And I don't know if I'm ready for it, to be honest with you.
Which is surprising. You're the one that was the volunteer fireman and you know what it's like to see a dead person. And besides what I think is Hollywood setting us up for it, we all know that there has been a huge surge in people listening to true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
Something that comes
Which is scary in itself because then there's going to be people. I mean, are we dulling the sensitivity?
Yes, we are. 100%. Because one of the other things that happens, a lot of these true crime podcasts, they have social media. So they will say this story about, let's say, Allie, who died of a bludgeoning or whatever. Then they'll say, now, if you go to our social, you can see the autopsy photos. And so now I'm already used to not only seeing Hollywood kind of glamorize it and use the fake props, but I'm used to seeing the real autopsy photos.
All right, now, is that different because you chose to watch that the way it was? Did you expect in the exploding house to see the bodies?
No. When we watched it.
We did. We had to watch it twice because we're like, was that really that?
Right. When we watched it, my first reaction was, whoa.
Yes.
Oh my God.
She called me over to the computer. She's like, you've got to see this. Same reaction.
Yes. I was not thinking that was going to happen because there was and here's the one thing I will say. How about for people who are not used to seeing it, who don't choose that kind of, not entertainment, consumerism, although I guess it's kind
consumption of whatever.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of entertainment because like true crime is entertainment for me personally, that there needs to be a warning there. Yeah. Because some people, like when we watched that exploding house, I was thinking somebody's not going to be okay with that. There should have been a warning on that.
Yeah, yeah. I think there should have been a warning on this fight scene that I saw too, to be honest with you.
Oh, what I hate about those, it reminds me of high school. Remember there was a surge of kids recording other kids getting in fights in the high school hallways. Yeah. And it seemed like there was always fights. It's like the copycats, if you will. And that really bugged me. For some reason, that bugs me more than anything. And I think it's because they're not really mature enough. I am not going to be a 40-year-old woman getting in a fight at Walmart. I mean, possible.
Well,
but you know,
anything's possible on a given Sunday.
True. But I think for the most part, most of us can control our emotions. So when teenagers see other teenagers doing that, it just really becomes a domino effect of fighting in the schools. And I just don't think that they're mature enough.
Okay. I didn't mean to start as heavy. Well,
no, because I have something heavy too that I want to tell you about.
Well, and here's the thing. This goes to show, and this is really what's great about the Not For Air podcast, is this conversation, admittedly, we could have had on the air, but it goes to show we go all over the place. You might end up getting last week's podcast, there were some different lines crossed in a fun way, but I kind of like these when we get a little deeper into the meat, you know?
Right, exactly. So on to something with the dead. Did you see the story about the husband who keeps a photo of his dead wife in his office?
Why wouldn't you? Didn't he love her?
Yes, but he's with somebody else now. So the photo it's a group shot of college friends, including the woman who passed away before they could it's deceased girlfriend, not wife, before they could get married. And he says, I was devastated, got counseling, dealt with all the grief. And he says, I'm not hung up on her. He says, but my wife is very upset that I have this picture of my deceased girlfriend in my office.
Okay, there's a huge difference here, and this is the way I would justify it. Is we all make connections through our life. Okay, that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
And he obviously expected a future with her.
Yes.
However, she passed away. Whatever it was, car accident, cancer, could have been anything, right? She is no longer on the planet.
Yes.
That obviously, what counseling and everything else ripped him apart. Okay. But he found a way through everything to move forward and continue on and found happiness again. All that's the great part of it. I think the wife's being unfair for this reason. It's not just an ex-girlfriend who's still alive or an ex-wife who's still alive and wandering, doing whatever they're doing in their life, living their life, doing whatever. This is a soul that is no longer here. To me, it's an okay thing because that is part of his past. I mean, look, I know so my mom and dad, as you know, they've been passed away a long, long time. But I know my brothers, both Gary and Jim, their mom died of cancer when they were very young. And I know a lot about Joan. That was my dad's first wife. And she was commonly discussed.
Of course.
And, it was a part of that. So I think the difference here lies in it was, I mean, listen, if I could get so lucky for the death of some exes, but that's here nor there. This was different from now. If you walked into his office and he had a lineup of all of his exes on his back desk or whatever, you got something to go with there. I would even say a picture of mother and daughter or mother and son if the mom was still alive. It's kind of like, why not just the kid if it's your kid? But she died. She's no longer here.
Here's why I think it's okay. Because normally I probably would be like, do you have to have that picture? It's a group shot. So obviously that was a really happy memory with a lot of people that you share happy memories with.
But she's dead. You can't have happy memories with that past.
That's why I'm saying I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I absolutely am. Because
I'm talking about his wife now.
Yeah. So I think in this case, it's fine because it is a bunch of people. If it was a solo shot of her, I might feel a little differently, even though I know that she is dead. But that's where this is a little bit different. I don't even think he would have a solo shot of his dead girlfriend. I think that because it was this group shot. Do you ever have a great day with a bunch of friends?
Oh, sure.
So me and my friends, we have a phrase for this. We call it our forever pictures. So there are many times that my friends have come here to the Finger Lakes to visit, and we'll go to the gorge or whatever. We're going wine tasting. It doesn't matter what we're doing. And we take these pictures, and you go back and you look at the picture and you go, oh, that's a forever picture. That is that's so many great memories.
Sure.
And that is why I think his wife needs to just drop it.
I would say this. If it was a picture of them as a couple together, like in some sort of embrace, that would make me a little more uncomfortable. Again, though, because she's passed, I would have to stop and I would say, you really have to pull back and go, she's no longer here. This was a part of his past. I mean, how many times do we talk about our exes? And I'm not saying specifically, this is a generality. You never go into it and go, boy, I had a great ex. We really had something great going. It just didn't work out. 99% of the time, to your new or your current or the next whatever, what a bastard. What a pile of shit they were. You never see the good stuff. You never talk about that, things like that. So in this case,
I have, and it has not worked out in my favor necessarily, because then it's like, then it goes, my ex and I have had really great exes. Yeah. And I've said like, oh, so-and-so, they were a good person. They, did this or this. And it's like, great, awesome. Like, now, am I not good enough? Like, I'm not trying to impart that feeling, but that's what they're kind of getting from that conversation. That's not what I meant. I just meant like, oh, I enjoyed this or that, because I still can remember the positive things of an ex because I'm a half glass full person.
Sure.
Where I think a lot of people have a hard time doing that.
Oh, I think you're right. Okay, are we taking a break here for a second?
Yeah, let's take a quick break because I want to shift from like super heavy into the second half is going to be totally opposite.
Oh my gosh, and I got to tell you the funniest kid thing in a minute.
Okay. Of course, you can go down the rabbit hole of looking at all the cute puppies and kitties at ChemungSPCA.org. But did you know there's other stuff that the Chemung SPCA does? Like get tips and tricks at ChemungSPCA.org. Especially if you have a chewer in the family, your fur baby loves to jump up on you or even get so excited they pull the leash too much. Have you ever heard of the Tooth Fairy Fund? One of the things you can do is donate to the Chemung County SPCA and help other families pay for teeth cleanings and extractions. And if you're down on your luck, there's the Pet Food Pantry. The Chemung County SPCA can provide you, your dog, or cat with a little food to help you through the tough times. So while you're at ChemungSPCA.org looking at the oodles and oodles of cuteness, check out their other services like spay and neuter clinics, affordable vaccination clinics, behavior problems, pet food pantry, tooth fairy service, end of life services, or even temporary boarding resources. Now go spoil a doggy or kitty, even if it's not your own.
Welcome back to the Scott and Allie Not For Air podcast. Before we move any further, during the break, Allie and I were moving around on camera. Now, here's the funny part about this. We are in the same room. We're very close to each other. I'm actually sitting on her legs.
Somebody asked me this yesterday. They asked me, how close are we in the room?
I'll show you. Hang on. I'm coming. Hi. Now you come with me, and we'll show everybody. I know it's ridiculous, but it's the way that the studio is set up. So you see that we're literally right across from each other, and the controls and all that. But we were moving around during the break for a second there. Will you please show your nails off? This is another reason YouTube and Spotify to watch this. I mean, anyway, listening to it is fine, but you had quite the treatment done this week, didn't you? You had the full wet. Wow. So they're different. Yeah. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 nails that are greenish.
It's a green on one hand. Whoops, I'm sorry. Green on one hand, blue on the other hand.
I love the blue. I'm not going to lie.
My friend's daughter yesterday, so I live a block from one of my best friends, and her daughter were driving by, and they were both like, "Oh my gosh, I love your fingernails." And they said it reminded them of Monsters, Inc. because it's the neon green and then the bright blue.
Yeah, I love the blue.
Thank you.
Now, did they also do your nipples like that? One brown, one pink? I mean,
yes, I got my nipples dyed.
Why not?
As a matter of
Stupid
fact.
question.
I know, right? I did get the full treatment, though. I mean, head to toe, everything. Hair. I mean, I got hair removed from every part of my body.
Got it done. Very good. No, your nails popped on me, and I didn't. That's the first time today that I've noticed it. Because again, what you don't see is there are monitors in front of us, there are controls in front of us, and I only really see Allie from like the mouth up most of the time. So
here, hold on a second. I will show you guys.
Oh yeah, I could show you mine too. You're right.
So Scott, there's the monitors.
Yeah.
Water.
Oh, you can show me off too. Hi.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, wait, here. All right. Since we're doing it here. So back there are some of the computers we use. And then you come down here. This is all in front of me. Mm-hmm. So you get the idea. There's a lot going on.
Oh, you could have shown me.
Oh, I'm sorry. There she is. Yeah, there. What an angle. So... well, you got a lot of stuff going on in the room. So, and a lot of people don't realize. Excuse me while I reset my camera.
I would say that we're about a foot away from each other.
No, that's more like 4.
You think?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, this is why women, you go up to them and you're like, hey, you want to see a good 7 inches? They're like, yes, 3. Exactly. Yeah, never trust her mouth. No, seriously. My arm is almost 2 feet long.
It is not.
Here comes the camera again. There's the arm. Well,
and it's almost touching the screen in front of you.
Yes. Okay. So you get it.
Is it really 4 feet?
Well, not my arm, my dick. Yes.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding. It was a joke. So you're at least 4 feet away.
Oh, I always thought that we were like a foot or 2.
Oh my God. You should see how quick she goes through brake pads too.
Oh, shut it. What's worse, double dipping or the 5-second rule?
Double dipping.
I'm going to go with...
Oh, you're going to go with the 5-second rule because you're the queen of double dipping.
I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm the queen of double dipping and because I hate cleaning the floor. Like, how often do you really clean the floor? Like, my Roomba does an okay job. So really, the messier thing, it ain't my mouth.
I just, there's so many different fluids and different things in a double dip.
And plus, honestly, if somebody was to say, Allie, I will give you $10,000 to lick Scott's tongue, or
Tongue?
$10,000. Hold on.
Could have
Or
gone with my head.
Or $10,000 to lick the floor. I'm probably going to pick your tongue first. So think about it, double dipping is just your spit, right? Or you would rather, I don't want you to lick my tongue and I don't want to lick your tongue.
I don't, yeah,
What
there'll
I'm
be no
saying-
tongue licking today.
What I'm saying is, though, put it in any other context. If somebody's going to throw money at me, then I'm still going to lick your tongue before I lick the floor.
But here's the thing.
I can easily, what?
With the floor, okay, let me clarify. If it's a floor hit and it's something that has any sort of moisture or texture that can absorb anything, i.e., something like a piece of cheese, I would question off the floor. Okay, because it feels like if it's a dry potato chip, I'll just reach down, grab the potato. It's a Frito, for God's sake, pick it up and eat it.
Yep,
Okay, if it is a chicken wing, you might get a hair.
See it? I would rather lick your tongue.
But I'm coming to that. Then you go to the tongue.
I mean, I know sometimes it feels like you have sweaters in your mouth. But come on.
Right, but the thing about it is, you're not even 100% sure what you have. So,
What do you mean?
I mean,
Oh, like my sickness that I have
there
right
could
now?
be a sickness. There could be something that's undiagnosed. There could be just.
Oh my God.
You never know. I mean,
You
I'm
would
going to
rather
take my
lick-
chances with
Wait,
the floor.
You would rather lick let's use the kitchen floor here. You would rather lick the kitchen floor than lick my tongue for $10,000?
No.
Well, look at your floor. No offense, but you have two kids. You have two little kids at home. I know you guys are dropping shit all the time.
Yeah.
So you would rather lick your dirty ass floor than my tongue?
Okay, when did we go to licking the floor versus
Because-
licking the tongue? I said I'd pick up a Frito.
I know.
And eat it, not lick the floor. You just took it all the way up.
Because I'm saying that's essentially what you're doing, and I threw in money too. So
Oh, for 10 grand, I'll lick your butt crack. I don't care.
that thing is clean as a whistle.
Clean as a Yeah, I mean, really, I don't.
Hence
you
the
know.
fact that I got tuned up from the top down.
up.
Tuned up. I got tuned up.
Let that be the quote of the front of the podcast. For 10 grand, I'll lick your butt crack.
I got tuned up. Oh my God.
Here I go.
Oh,
All right, back.
you poor little thing.
I gotta tell you,
Never mind, poor little thing. Whatever. You won't even lick my tongue for $10,000.
No, oddly, why do I want to lick your butt crack and not
I
your
know.
tongue?
Wait, okay. If you had the choice between licking my tongue or my butt crack for $10,000,
I'm going with the butt crack.
Really? Why
Yeah.
would you? No, do you know? that
There's more
Do you
what-
know
I'm
I
hoping.
Wait, did you know I shit in the woods the other day?
Oh my God.
Remember I was telling you on the show, I mentioned this is how like stuff from the show goes from show to podcast. Remember I was telling you about my group chat with my two girlfriends that we call Trash for Life?
Yes.
That's the name of our group chat. So I chatted with them. I texted them the other
You
day.
chatted, all right.
I texted them the other day. Wait, hold on a second. I got to pull it up exactly.
This did not make it on the show. I will tell you this.
No, it definitely did not, but I have no problem sharing it right here.
The fact that you still shit outside as much as you do.
You don't even understand. I don't know how this happens because I was hiking in the morning and I saw that there was a car parked in this hiking location. So I knew there was somebody else in the woods. Oh, and I ran into these other people. But hold on a second. I got to pull up my Trash for Life here. Okay. So Saturday, 10:08. Totally shit in the woods on my hike this morning.
Oh my God.
So the response was, LOL, if Allie shits in the woods, does anyone hear it?
Was there a rabbit nearby? Because you could have looked at the rabbit and said, do you have trouble with shit sticking to your fur? And if the rabbit said no, you could have picked it up and wiped your ass with it. I totally converted the bear joke for you with the rabbit.
I couldn't hold it, and I was way too far
Why
away
don't you poop before you leave the house? Why do I have to always be the parent on these things?
I didn't have to
Hey, kids,
poop.
go to the bathroom before we take a car ride. Hey, Allie, before you go on a hike up in Spencer Park, could you take a shit?
I didn't have to poop before I left the house.
Oh, that's what they all say.
So now back to the question. Would you rather lick my tongue or my butt for $10,000?
I'm going to still go with your butt crack, and I'm going to tell you why for a couple reasons.
I can't believe this. This is
Hear me out.
Okay.
I'm going to take my
God.
chances that the day you ask me to lick your butt crack and offer 10 grand up for it is the day that either you haven't pooped yet and there's probably less moisture on your butt crack than your tongue. So if it's over 60% humidity, don't ask for the ass crack. And if it's a day where I've already seen you make multiple trips to the ladies' room across the hall, I guess it's going to be the tongue. But on a good day, just walking in, I might, no, because the problem is why am I setting myself up for this? Because now what's going to happen is you're going to be the person. I'm going to take the bet. I'm going to say, fine, I'll take one for the bank account. And, here it comes. Cheeks go like this, and I'm going to get right like that. This is going to be the scene. It's going to go. And right as I'm ready to touch, it's going to go. And I'm going to get a fart blowing my eyebrows back.
So I'm going to answer the question now, because now I can't leave it alone. I am absolutely picking Scott's beehole
because I vigorously clean that after every poop.
Yes. So I think Scott's mouth is fine, but I think that it's like too personal.
I'm gonna bet my butthole might smell better after this podcast.
I think that Scott's being that close to you and your tongue would be too personal. Like,
my ass crack is not as personal as my tongue?
Well, so one of the first things...
Ask your friends this question. Next time you're together, what would you rather? If nobody takes anything from this podcast except, wow, what a turn. This is the question to ask your friends at a party.
This has been one of my favorite podcasts. I'm not going to lie. So anyway, one of the first things that I learned about Scott when I first moved here, it was early on.
You're going to embarrass me again.
Yes. This is early on. We had talked about how we wipe. And Scott wets the teepee.
I do.
And that's fine. I'm just saying. So now I know that you have a clean butthole.
I have a weird physical side of it. Okay, so I'm gonna be real honest with you. So
I'm still picking butthole.
When I was a kid, and I think I did an okay wiping, but I used to get the raw asshole a lot. You know what I mean? Where you have to get the Vaseline around the O-ring and all that.
I thought you were going to say streaks.
No. I don't think I was ever overly streaky, but for whatever reason, it was raw. So I'm like, okay, I got a sensitive butthole. That also could be the lead-in clip of this entire podcast. Scott has a sensitive butthole.
Can that be on your Tinder profile? I have a sensitive butthole.
So I really want to have this level of cleanliness. Whatever, people use bidets. So, it's not like I'm that weird.
The other day, I usually don't use the wipes because to me they make my butt crack a little too moist.
That's a greasy. They're it's too greasy. You just water and teepee's fine.
So but sometimes something calls for there to be more cleanup on aisle 9. So I had some makeup wipes, some pink grapefruit makeup wipes, and those did the trick because my beehole was citrusy fresh.
Makeup wipes? I thought they had much harsher chemicals on there. Or were you going for the bleached butthole look?
It didn't burn.
Okay.
I don't know.
This brings me to a question back to you shitting in the woods.
Then I have a burn butthole story.
So...
that I think I've told on the air, but maybe not on the podcast.
You probably don't travel, especially on a hike with, I don't know, do you carry a fanny pack with teepee or did you have to grab leaves?
I had to grab leaves and I was looking to make sure that they weren't poison ivy. And I need to travel with fanny pack and baby wipes.
You especially, you can't leave the house without crapping out in public.
I know. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I should learn from you because last week when I was going to watch the kids and drive them to the ice cream shop,
yes,
you said, I'll make sure. I vividly remember this. You said, I'll make sure that you know where the wipes are because Lydia gets a little messy when she eats ice cream.
A little? That was being polite.
Yes. So I really should take that cue because I don't have baby wipes everywhere, but I should have baby wipes everywhere.
I never travel without them now.
Yeah,
never. It doesn't matter what. If I'm alone in the car taking a road trip, it doesn't matter. I'll have them with me at all times.
Now, burn butthole story. So this is when Clorox wipes were just coming on the scene. And my mom is a clean freak. So if you've never heard this story, buckle up. My dad goes number 2, and then he thought that they were like the Cottonelle wipes. And
he didn't even look.
Didn't even look. He
saw a C and went with it.
Right.
Clorox, Cottonelle, why not?
Screamed. He said it was the worst burnt butthole he had ever felt in his life.
So he must have had a small fissure or a crack in his butt crack, because, I mean,
I think
would it burn if you didn't have something that, tore
it's
a little bit?
Open hole.
What?
I'm gonna guess if I put a.
But your butthole's not like a boo-boo. You're not band-aiding your butthole.
Why don't you try it?
I don't really know. Why don't you lick it first?
No,
we'll get through it.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Good, because I don't have $10,000 to give you.
Yeah, that's the only way I'm licking it. Man, oh my God, this is so exciting. If I win the lottery, that's the first thing I'm going to say. I'm going to say, Scott, I'll give you $10,000. What am I saying? I was going to say, Scott, I'll give you $10,000 if you lick my butthole.
This has been your half of the podcast. I've been following along and commenting. You're the one that took us here.
I don't know.
I asked you in the beginning, are we becoming too insensitive of a society because we're watching bodies explode on TV and people being beat down? And we then moved into licking your asshole and offering cash for it. You know what? I answered my own question in this entire podcast. Throw sensitivity out. We got none left. There's nothing. Not a damn thing.
No.
Not a thing. I don't even know if it's not even worth me telling you the things that I had. I mean,
why?
I was going to tell you something really cute, but at this point.
Do you not want to tell me the cute thing? You don't want to end on a cute note?
Oh, do you feel we should take it away from, butthole licking and shitting in the forest?
Just give me the cute thing, and then we'll save the other thing for next week.
We'll do that. So I thought you would. I really did find this very cute and actually really sensitive. So we'll go back to the sensitivity side if I can recover this podcast.
Like buttholes, yeah.
So Gavin and Lydia are at camp this week doing a Y camp, and it's great for me because it wipes them out. So by the time they get home, they want to eat, watch their iPads. I get them bathed. Cycle starts all over again, right?
Yep.
And it really is. It's a great day. They're doing that. Well, Lydia, I'm discovering, and I have an idea, a strong idea where she got this from, and it's unfortunate. Petrified of spiders. Petrified. All 4 years old of her, but I think that there was some influence from somewhere. Like I said, I know where.
Okay.
And petrified of spiders. Well, at the camp, they have this huge white tent, and they have these picnic tables outside under the tent, and they do coloring and different craft activities. I mean, they could be inside if it's a rainy day, but, lots of fresh air and stuff like that. So the camp counselor, when I picked up Lydia the other day and Gavin, goes, well, we made a new seat for Lydia today at camp. And I'm like, oh no, what happened? Because
the bad seat.
Right. As a parent, you sit there and you go, why did your seat get moved? What happened?
Right, right.
And they go, well, it's the no spider seat. And I'm like, the no spider seat. So she won't sit at the picnic tables outside because apparently there was a spider one day.
Okay.
So they brought a chair out for her from inside the building. She has like her own queen's throne at the table, as opposed to all the other girls who are there, taking their shoe off and smacking the spider. But yeah, I thought that was really sweet. I'm like, well, that's a really considerate thing to do. I mean, all of 4 years old and she's got her throne.
That's adorable.
That was really cute. I thought that was, but at first I'm like, oh no, special seat.